With a market cap of almost 90 billion, it's one of the largest cryptocurrencies out there, yet very few people cover it. We're talking about BNB, the gas token on the Binance Smart Chain. The question is, does it make sense to buy BNB now? Let's have a look at the on-chain metrics. Let's have a look at relative valuations. Let's have a look at the data most people are not considering. So BNB is at place number 5. It's larger than Solana and almost half the size of Ethereum. As with any altcoin, we've got a roller coaster ride in price action. It seems like we are rather high right now in the historical context. We have been at similar levels before to then come down to $200. But maybe we're going to new all-time highs. We're going to cover this in a second. Now, this is the total value locked on the Binance Smart Chain. So this is the blockchain that BNB is powering. We saw a massive surge during DeFi summer in 2021 when the total value locked was 21 billion. Now it's down to 5 billion. So a decline of roughly 75%. Parts of that decline is due to the BNB price going down. But when we look at the total value locked measured in BNB, we also see 2021 was the peak. Since then we went down. But it seems like in the last few months we are stabilizing to a degree. Now, it's always interesting to look at the usage of a technology. BNB is enabling the Binance Smart Chain. So how many transactions are performed on the Binance Smart Chain? How is the number of transactions developing? What about active accounts, etc.? Let's have a look. At the top left, we've got the number of transactions on the Binance Smart Chain. It's a 7-day moving average to take away some of the volatility. The chart starts in April of 2023. It seems like activity is not declining, but it's also not growing a lot. What we see on the right is the number of wallets, same trend. What we see at the top right is the number of wallets, similar trend. What we see at the bottom left is the gas that is used, so how much BNB is potentially getting partially burned. And then at the bottom right, we've got the number of smart contracts that got created. So black is the cumulative line, and per day we've got this at the bottom in red. A few more charts. So on the top left is the decentralized exchange trading volume. Now here we do see some growth, right? There seems to be more and more dollars that exchange hands on the Binance Smart Chain over time. So the number of wallets might not increase, but the dollars that each wallet move, that does tend to increase over time. We see how PancakeSwap is dominating the chain with between 80 and 90% of trading volume done through Pancake. And again, on the bottom left, the number of traders over time relatively constant, and at the bottom right, the number of trades. So how many trades are those traders performing? It appears as if the Binance Smart Chain has found its pool of users, and those users continue to use the chain more and more with more and more dollars over time. Now, my impression is that the Binance Smart Chain is not getting the attention that it actually deserves. All the eyes are on Solana, but Solana tends to rather creep down right now. The Binance Smart Chain has pretty high stable trading volume, pretty high stable adoption. So in the last 24 hours, we have seen $1.8 billion worth of trading volume on the Binance Smart Chain. On Solana, we saw 2.1 billion, so slightly more. On Base, we only saw 700 million of trading volume, so only 40% roughly of what the Binance Smart Chain is processing. Now, most altcoins underperform Bitcoin most of the time, but some altcoins are able to keep pace, and BNB is one of them. So this is the BNB price relative to Bitcoin. And the growth tends to happen very quickly in very short amounts of time. When we're not growing, we tend to go sideways. And in the last 4 years or so, we have been in a somewhat constant sideways trading range, and we are rather at the lower end of that trading range. So relative to Bitcoin, BNB could lose 34%, but it could also gain 71% or potentially even 170%. Here's a very similar chart. This is the BNB dominance. So how much of all of crypto is currently in BNB? This peaked at 6%. It's currently at 3.2%. And again, there seems to be somewhat of a constant trading range. The major competitor clearly is Solana. But Solana Solana has a problem. Solana has 100% focused itself on meme coin trading. But meme coin trading is a zero-sum game, right? It's player versus player. It's insiders versus late adopters. It's skilled on-chain analysts versus the not so skilled people. Over time, the more meme coin trading continues, the more the money concentrates towards the insiders and the skilled people, right? And the vast majority loses and then exits the system. Thus, over time, once no new people come into the system, we tend to see rather shrinking activity. So that explains charts like this, right? This is the number of deployed transactions on pump.fun. This is the meme coin launchpad on Solana. It peaked at the beginning of the year and since then tends to decline rather rapidly. And so my impression is that Solana tends to rather be on the decline now and BNB stays relatively steady. Thus, BNB might actually be the better bet than Solana right now. Let's compare this directly in a price valuation chart. What we've got over here is the BNB price relative to the Solana price. Isn't that fascinating? This chart starts in April of 2020 and we tend to be in a somewhat constant trading range. So sometimes BNB peaks and sometimes Solana peaks, and it seems to be in a somewhat consistent range. From bottom to top, we've got more than 1,000% gain, and of course from top to bottom we've got a loss of 90%. It appears as if BNB has bottomed versus Solana and is now getting traction again. Maybe we see something very similar to 2021, 2022. If Solana continues to shrink and more people move over to the Binance Smart Chain, maybe we just see a revival of history. Maybe things will repeat. Maybe BNB can outperform Solana by 300%, potentially even 500%. Again, the Binance Smart Chain total value locked is pretty stable, while Solana tends to rather contract right now. Now, when things don't look that great, when most altcoins are going down and when they especially underperform versus Bitcoin, I think actually it's time to make money. It's not time to exit the market. This is what most people do. I think that bear markets are actually the easier markets to make profit. Because have a look at this screenshot here. This is a premium member that shorted a token with a modest leverage of 3x and that made 25%. This is his message, tagging me, I made my first profit, thanks. I'm not sharing the exact asset because we are still betting on falling prices of that asset. Again, there are some very weak altcoins that sometimes pump that we can then short, where we can make very easy profit during times like this. Most altcoins are now deflating. It's an always repeating story. What we've got over here is XRP relative to Bitcoin. So this is a relatively long-term chart starting in March of 2021. And whenever we see positive news, when all of attention goes to XRP, the price is rallying, but then sooner or later we do get our crashes. And it's relatively straightforward to make money with those crashes. We're simply looking at what currently pumped a lot, where didn't we see any new all-time highs, but where are we likely going to stay in the trading range, and then we just bet on falling prices. And especially when there's currently a bear market, when a price relative to Bitcoin goes down by 74%, we can make more than even just 74%, right? We can lever this up slightly as well. Or have a look at Dogecoin, right? The same story. Elon Musk tweets about Dogecoin, it goes up, and then afterwards the attention moves to the next token, and we just see a continued price decline. This is again 74%. We made money shorting Dogecoin, by the way. So I'm sharing all the trades that I do betting on falling prices with all the premium members. There are also alternative ways where we don't have to be that active, right? There are some altcoins that are that bad in tokenomics, where the supply is increasing that quickly relative to the demand, that the underperformance relative to Bitcoin is pretty much just a straight line. So what we've got over here is Balancer relative to Bitcoin, and it simply just continues to go down. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this position here is because the tokenomics aren't as bad anymore compared to a few years ago, right? I was shorting this throughout the whole of 2024 and I've closed that short now. But the reason why charts like this exist, the reason why we can make money with this, is because the supply increases over time. But this is now Balancer, and a year ago we saw how the circulating supply would still go up by like 30-40% within a year. This is not anymore the case. So relatively speaking, Balancer doesn't expand that quickly anymore. That's why the underperformance is slowing down. That's why I'm now sharing this publicly on YouTube, right? I didn't share this on YouTube in 2023 and 2024. This is where I only shared this in premium. We really have to be realistic about the market. I believe strongly that the long term wins the game. It's always about being consistent. It's always about beating the market over the long term and have proper risk management. Making money in crypto is not just about finding the next 100x meme coin. That can work with a lot of research during a bull run and when we've got a lot of influencers that all coordinate each other that then push up the price. But in a bear market that doesn't work. When there's no new investors joining, that's not the way to make money. I mean, just have a look at this. This is the top 100 tokens. And what we've got over here is Bitcoin. And this is ordered by the performance in the last year. We've got 16 altcoins that outperformed Bitcoin in the last year. 2 of those altcoins, by the way, are gold derivatives. So this is just the gold price going up. So in the end, we've only got 14 of the top 100 cryptocurrencies that did better than Bitcoin. The vast majority of altcoins did much worse than Bitcoin. And that happened during a period where Bitcoin actually went up. Bitcoin during the time period went up by 25% almost. This is something most people don't understand. Most people think that when Bitcoin is going up by 25%, that the altcoins in theory should go up even more because they are smaller in market cap, they are more volatile, they are somewhat of a levered Bitcoin, but that's only true to a degree. Bitcoin can go up by 25% in a year and still the vast majority of altcoins does worse than BTC. So instead of trying to find the next 10x meme coin, when it's all just player versus player and when no new people enter the space, instead of trying to beat the impossible game, why not get the odds in our favor, right? When more than 80% of altcoins in the top 100 do worse than Bitcoin, why not bet on that? Why not bet on the 80% doing worse than BTC and make money with that? That's personally what I currently do, and that's also what the premium members are doing. That's how short-term gains like this happen while the vast majority of people are just losing. Now, I have not seen any other influencer being that transparent about their own performance, but I want to share what kind of performance I make, and I also want to share this over time, as in not just I have made X%, but I want to share how volatile the game actually is. Crypto trading is a game of both luck and skill. And the longer we are engaged, the more trades we do, the more the skill component will be stronger compared to the luck component, right? It's pretty much like in a casino. If you play versus a casino over the long term, you will lose money. You might win money short term, right? Because the luck is on your side, but over the long term, the odds, the expected value is what plays out. And so what we see over here is a scatter plot. How much did I outperform buying and holding Bitcoin every single month in the last 3.5 years? Some months have been incredible outperformances over buying and holding Bitcoin, right? The very best month was over here with 25% outperformance, but we also had pretty poor months, like over here, an underperformance of 18%. So the thing is fluctuating. What we've got as a dotted line here is a 12-month moving average. Most 12-month averages have been positive. When we average out all of those data points, we come to 2.1% per month. So in other words, on average, I make alpha over buying and holding of 2.1% per month. So when we compound this, it's a bit over 25% per year. Now, is this enough? Depends on how much you're betting, right? If you only have $100 to invest, it doesn't matter. But if you've got $10,000, maybe even more than that, it does matter because again, this comes on top of Bitcoin's performance. And so here's what I believe Bitcoin will do over the long term. Instead of just looking at the direct prices, I prefer to look at the realized price. So the average cost basis. Over time, the current price is hovering around that realized price, right? The average cost basis, but the cost basis itself tends to increase quite steadily. And this increase over the last few years was roughly 25% per annum, 30 to 25%. I'm rather conservative. I say 25%. So we've got a bit over 25% per annum from trading. We've got a bit over 25% per annum from just buying and holding Bitcoin. So compounding this again is more than 50% per annum. If you've got more than $10,000 and you put this into 50% per annum long term over the next 3-4 years, that kind of money does matter, right? Isn't that better than trying to gamble it all away with meme coins? Meme coins are ultra risky, and that's why most people just put a few $100 in them, maybe $1,000 here and there. But if you've got a strategy that's somewhat limited in risk and where you have a long-term track record, then putting in more money, allocating more of the overall wealth towards such a portfolio does make sense, right? Then we can play in the tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands. We don't have to just bet $100. Now, everything I've just explained is in more detail in the premium membership in the tutorial section. There's more than 100 premium tutorials in the membership, and it's not just about shorting, it's not just about betting on falling prices, it's also about risk management, about asset allocation, about on-chain analytics, etc. Besides the tutorials, I also share, of course, what kind of trades I do so that you can simply just copy trade me, right? You don't have to go into every single altcoin in detail all the time. I dare to say that most crypto communities probably lost money in the last few weeks. And I don't think that's true for the premium membership here. I do believe that the vast majority of our members made money because we were prepared. So feel free to check it out. It's currently $125 per month. There's also a 1-week money back guarantee. So in case you don't like premium, just message me within the first week and I refund you 100%. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. Helps the channel grow. See you again on YouTube or see you in premium. Cheers!